struggling to market to your ideal clientele with old branding that worked for you years ago? This branding gap is playing a huge role in your current client conversion rate, and you may not even know it. We've heard it all before. My website doesn't matter that much, or I'll get to it eventually, but years go by and yet you're still asking the same question. Why am I still working the same weddings at the same price point with no growth? So what does your current brand and website say about you? Does your copy actually captivate your ideal clientele, or are they quickly closing your site and connecting with someone else? It's time to give your brand some pampering at the Creative Cabana, your all-inclusive strategy and design studio. With over a decade of experience as wedding vendors, their full-service team knows exactly how powerful great branding can be for your business growth. Whether you need a complete brand refresh or just a touch-up with services like website design, brand identity, or copywriting, they've got you covered. And for filmmakers out there, they also specialize in logo animations so that your film can feel that much more elevated. This is something I just invested in, and it's brought an entirely new look to my films. So you poured your heart and soul into your business. Now it's time for a brand that connects with your customers on every level. Visit their website today and use our discount code WGY300 for $300 off your first project at creativecabana.co. Welcome to the We Got You podcast, a network curated for wedding photographers and filmmakers that dives deep into the strategies and tactics to transitioning a side hustle in the wedding industry into a full-time, thriving career. We're your hosts, luxury wedding filmmaker Emma K. Films and luxury destination wedding photographer Hannah Brook Photography. It wasn't too long ago that we picked up our cameras for the first time, having absolutely no idea where it would lead us. Years later, we're traveling the globe for beautiful destination weddings, build our dream lifestyles, and run multi-six-figure careers. It didn't happen overnight and it wasn't easy, but it is attainable and so worth it. And we're ready to teach you our strategies. Covering a variety of topics from both our firsthand experiences and reputable guest speakers' insights crucial for business growth, we're exploring the art of marketing within your niche, discussing effective ways to attract and retain clients, leverage social media, and build a strong online presence, and so much more. We're not shying away from talking through the challenges of the wedding industry and offering realistic solutions to navigate them successfully. We emphasize the importance of networking, establishing meaningful relationships with clients, and continuously honing one's craft to stand out in a competitive market. This is the We Got You podcast.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the We Got You podcast. I feel like I cannot speak today. That is so funny. I keep tripping over my words. We've had to restart this episode already. So we are here for the long run. So excited that you guys are listening today. And on a more serious note, we're excited for this episode to be about transitioning from part-time to full-time. I feel like this is something that we've had people ask about a lot, like just like our personal experiences with transition from part-time to full-time, but then also wanted to just make an episode just kind of about tips and tricks that we feel like we have done in our past and gone through that have really helped propel us with our transition. It's a hard transition from part-time to full-time, but it is so worth it. And like, as everything hard is, I feel like anything that is like hard to do is always worth it in the long run. But I know a lot of people right now are either considering that or in the middle of a transition, whether that even be from transitioning from part-time to full-time. Maybe that's transitioning from having a full-time job and doing this as a hobby to having both of them be more part-time, or, you know, whatever that looks like. Maybe you're starting a family and you're taking out one job and doing more photography, videography, whatever that transition basically looks like when it comes to your business. I honestly think that these tips are something that can help anybody just through a transition to kind of reground yourself, refocus, and really help your business propel and keep growing without that like never-ending to-do list, or I'm constantly doing something, or just feeling chaotic or sporadic. I think that's so easy, especially when you're transitioning from part-time to full-time and not having that like 9 to 5 stability. I wake up at 7, I go to work at 7:30, I work from 9, I get off at 5, I have dinner, I come home, I watch a show, I go to bed, you know? Like, you don't have that schedule. And I think a lot of people struggle. I know that for myself, I was like, freedom, and like, you know, you go crazy, and then you're like, okay, I need to figure out how can I continue to keep my business growing, and what schedule or what habits or, you know, what tricks can help me with my business. So we really just wanted to dive into today's episode, talk about kind of the experience and what helped us with our transitions, and then hopefully what can help you guys with whatever that transition looks like for you right now.
Yeah. So one of the things that we think is super, super beneficial, especially when you transition from that part-time to full-time, is finding an environment that isn't home. Obviously, you are moving from part-time to full-time with photography or videography, and you're maybe really excited to work at home, right? Like your office is here, or you're literally working at home. That's what you're excited to do, not to be in an office, right? But it can be really easy. It can be easy to feel very lonely. It can also feel very easy to, maybe you're working from home and then you're like, oh, the laundry needs to get done. I need to do the dishes. I need to do this. I need to go worry about this, right? And it can just start to become this space that maybe doesn't feel the most productive all the time. So we really encourage you, find a space that even just one day a week, you take yourself for a few hours of the day. Maybe that be a coffee shop, maybe that be a co-working space. I know for me here in LA, I have a membership at a co-working space called NeuHaus, and it's a place that I genuinely can just go to during the week and work at it. And it is set up like a big office co-working space with multiple levels to it. It's got a nice rooftop where I can be outside, but it's just a place that gets me not being at home. And I think that's so important because, again, as I mentioned, we can be here at home. And at first it sounds really, really fun and really exciting because now that we don't have to go into the office, but it can become something that feels just where you're not getting as much done because there's so many distractions, where if you go to a coffee shop, if you go to a co-working space, even if you go work with a friend somewhere, it gives you this fresh new place of scenery that almost like revives the creative energy in your brain. And it really leaves for no distractions. So even if it's just one day a week, maybe it's a few days a week, really encourage you to have that like second home, that second office place, that environment that doesn't feel like home.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like for the first couple of years of my business, that's something that I was like almost every day going to a coffee shop or finding place to work, because that was something that I felt like grounded me and like, okay, I can't be distracted. I can't watch TV, do the laundry, do the dishes, clean the house. I can't worry about everything else. Like I'm literally here to work on XYZ. I had planned out what I was going to work on whenever I got to a coffee shop, and then I would get it done. And honestly, I also think I watch currently reality shows while I edit, but that is more distracting. And so when you're at a coffee shop and you're listening to music, it is crazy how much more you get done. And I recognize that. I recognize that about myself. And so it's like knowing when you want to be at home watching a show and editing, but then also when you're like, no, I need to get stuff done. And I honestly think it took me several years of being able to go out to a coffee shop, have that place away from home, to really build those habits, to now where I can work mostly from home and feel like I have those habits like instilled. And I know one thing that a lot of people might be thinking is like, okay, well, I have dogs or I have pets or I have kids. Like this just doesn't work for me. Maybe then if you're like, no, I literally cannot leave my house. I mean, I could try to give you every tip and trick and stuff, but if you're like, no, I really cannot leave my house, that's then building a space in your house that does not feel like it is for the rest of the house, like a place for your business, whether that's an office or that's part of a room or that's a corner of a house, whatever you were able to do, where it is solely, this is for my business. This is not also toys from the kids that's on the desk, or, there's a dog bed that's like, or the dog sleeping on my lap or something. I don't know, maybe you like that, but like really for your business where you feel like, okay, I am checking off of mom mode, dog mom mode, whatever that is, and I'm switching on to, okay, I'm doing my work. When I sit down here, like this is what I have to get done. So whether that's another place or you're really just like gung-ho and making that space in your house.
No, I couldn't agree more. And honestly, like I get the most work done when I am not working from home, as crazy as that sounds. Like when I'm at a coffee shop or I'm at a co-working space, that is when I'm so focused in and I'm getting a lot done. And it is so beneficial to just get yourself out for a moment. So if you have that opportunity to do it, do it. And I also think like, again, finding a place that feels like second home. I know that for some people, it's like, oh, well, I go to a new coffee shop every week. And then that feels like a lot of work. It feels like a lot of energy you're pouring into and researching those places. And what if it doesn't work out? Actually finding a place, again, that maybe you could sign a membership to, or maybe you just know, like, I will go there every Tuesday morning and it feels like that second home. Make it easy for you. Don't make it this big thing that's going to take a lot of energy just to find and try out. Like, find a place that you can consistently go to.
Yeah. And honestly, our next one is like kind of ties into that. It's making a schedule for yourself. So I know it's like so freeing when you're like, okay, I'm full time. I don't need a schedule, and sit in that for a little bit. Enjoy that, because that is a huge reason why you are an entrepreneur, is so that you have the creative like freedom for your schedule and for where your time is and what you're spending your time in doing and how that can be different every day. Enjoy that. At the same time, I think recognizing that to be productive, you do need to have a set idea of what you're working on and when you're working on it. And so whether that be, every Tuesday I'm doing this, or every Wednesday I'm doing this, or I know for myself, it's okay, this is what time I'm going to wake up every morning. And the first thing I'm going to do is go walk my dog, take him to Dutch. He's pretty spoiled. But like, then that's like, okay, I've gotten up. I've done what I need to do for the day. Now I sit down and I literally edit until the afternoon, you know, and maybe that's not what happens every single day. But on days where I don't have a photo shoot, I don't have a wedding, and then I'm working all day from home, that's what my schedule is going to be. This could be time blocking of maybe in the morning you're deciding what is my day going to look like, and you're building out your day that morning. Maybe it's making a priority list of, okay, these are all the things that need to happen today, and the ones on the top need to happen first. And maybe that's just going through a list. Maybe it doesn't even have anything to do with what times things are happening. It's just like, I have the freedom of all day. These are the 5 things that need to happen. But whatever that is, find whatever structure works best for you. Whether, again, that is that like every Tuesday this is happening, or it's the day, every morning this is what's happening, this is what's happening in the afternoon, or that's building it day of, or creating those lists. But just finding some kind of structure for yourself, because I do think there is a lot of joy in having that freedom of what your schedule looks like. But I do think it is very hard to stay organized and productive when you are potentially doing 18 things at once, or a whole day with nothing, So finding what works best for you.
I know, like, for me, I am like, okay, I am going to create a priority list for the week. I'm not the best at time blocking. I'm not very good at time blocking, right? So like, I know some people are like, okay, from 9 to 10, I'm going to do this. And I think that is a really good, effective way of working 100%. And it works for a lot of people. For me, like, I really struggle with that. And so what I have found that works is I will write out my priority list from high to low priority of what needs to be done this week. What needs to be done this week? How big of a project is it? Like, how long is this going to take me? And then allocating that throughout the week and being like, okay, Monday, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z done. Tuesday, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z done. Wednesday, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z done. And I always am really careful about not adding too much to my plate, because I want to be able to cross every one of them off. So that way I know, okay, these are the 3 things I have to get done today. I'm going to do this in the morning because it's a really big project. And then I'm going to end with these 2 smaller things, right? But where you can actually check it off. And so another opportunity past time blocks is really creating those priority lists and then scheduling them out to your week and being able to get them done.
Yeah. And honestly, even having like a priority list that's like for work and then a separate one for home.
Yes.
Because again, that helps you really be in that work mindset instead of like, oh, these are just like 18 things I need to do and it feeling overwhelming. Okay, these are 9 things that has to happen for home, laundry, mow the lawn, do the dishes. But those can happen another day. Whereas the work, making that a priority for your day.
Are you tired of taking on the entire editing workload yourself? Are you tired of staring at a screen for days on end, feeling burnt out and creatively exhausted? Maybe you've been searching for an editing company for months now, but you can't seem to find one that can truly mimic the high-end quality of films you're looking for to deliver to your clients. If this sounds like you, we couldn't be more excited to introduce to you our friends at Wonderlust Videos. Wonderlust Videos is a post-production service for wedding filmmakers with over 10 years of experience and has served over 700 clients to date. Their full team specializes in seamless and high-quality editing for wedding filmmakers who need to take the workload off their shoulders and trust someone to create a high-end edit. As you know, we're incredibly picky about the partners we work with and the tools and resources we recommend to other photographers and filmmakers. With that being said, I myself, Emma, have gone through the process firsthand to use Wonderlust Videos myself and vet their entire process so that I can recommend them to you today with confidence. Wonderlust Videos can edit your highlight films, social media teasers, doc edits, and so much more. Their team edits on Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, so it's time to get the help you need and start outsourcing today. You can start with Wonderlust videos right now at wonderlust-videos.com and use our code WGY10 for 10% off your first project. Does your current client delivery system feel unexciting, limiting, and boring? Maybe you're still using good old Google Drive or Dropbox to deliver your clients' wedding films. If the answer to these is yes, it's time to level up your video delivery experience with VidFlow. VidFlow is a pay-per-use online platform that allows you to deliver fully branded websites for each of your clients. While being incredibly affordable, VidFlow is accessible on mobile, desktop, and smart TVs with included long-term hosting so that your clients can truly enjoy the entire experience when receiving their wedding films. When I first found VidFlow, it was such an easy switch that truly benefited my business substantially. With so many incredible features and options for customization and personalization, VidFlow continues to wow my clients time and time again. You can find VidFlow on Instagram or visit their website at vidflow.co. Use our code WGY20 for 20% off a yearly premium membership and level up your client experience today with VidFlow.
The next thing that we want to talk about is really truly surrounding yourself with community. It can be really lonely transitioning from full-time. Maybe you used to be in an office. Maybe you used to work with a lot of your, you had a lot of coworkers, you had a lot of peers, you worked with a lot of your friends. Well, now that you're working full-time as an entrepreneur, it can feel very, very lonely. And this is for people who feel like they're introverted and they're extroverted. It is so, so important to surround yourself with community, whether that be work community or personal community. Maybe it is signing up for a fun gym class once a week, or signing up for a pottery making class, or going to finding some element in your personal life that doesn't have to do with work is so helpful. I know for me, even just going to the sauna or going to Pilates or finding things that fuel me as a person outside of work, because as an entrepreneur, once you transition to full time, it very easily can feel like your life is work. So finding community outside of work, even if it's just once a week, one time a week, go do something that isn't work that you can be consistent with and you can have as a little routine. But then also finding community within work. As you move from part-time to full-time, maybe you have family members, maybe you have friends, maybe everyone around you doesn't quite understand the industry that you're in. I even know, for me and probably even for Hannah too, my family is so supportive and they have learned so much about our jobs. But they still don't understand to the same extent that I understand, because I'm the one who's an entrepreneur in the wedding industry. So it is so important that you surround yourself with community who's also photographers and videographers, whether that be just joining Facebook groups, whether that be attending a style shoot, attending a workshop. Maybe it is finding another photographer or videographer who is an hour from you and just asking if you could go get dinner or go get lunch or have a co-working hang once a week or once a month. It's so we cannot say that enough. It can feel so isolating working from home full time as an entrepreneur yourself. And we're not even saying this, we don't even want to scare you. Being full time and being an entrepreneur is the most fulfilling, incredible thing that you could possibly do. However, we're just kind of showing you that there are pieces that can be a little bit scary or that can be lonely. And we don't want you to feel alone. We want you to have community inside and out of work. And so surrounding yourself with different opportunities and making that a part of your routine, whether it be once a week or twice a month, is so beneficial for you.
Yeah. And I honestly they're all so important when it comes to transitioning from part-time to full-time, but it's one of the most important things, I think, for your mental health, because you're doing this job likely for your mental health. You're choosing to be an entrepreneur and following your passion because it feels like, okay, this is what I'm called to do. This is what I am meant to do. Maybe a 9 to 5 was just really mentally exhausting. At least that's what it was for in my case. My job I was doing before was just taking a really big mental toll on me. And I was like, I just want to do something that I can feel fulfilled in every day. I can feel passionate about, I can be creative and I can grow and I can scale. And so, moving into that full time, that was the goal. And I honestly think with your mental health, that is something that prevents a lot of people from making it past that first or second year. They feel like, okay, I can't handle this. This is too much. There's a stress of the booking. There's a lot to do, a lot to handle. When you have that community, I think you realize that like you're not alone in that. And then also that that's also okay to have, all these things that you're
Yeah.
supposed to do. And there's a lot of things on your plate, but that's all right because it doesn't all have to happen today. It's just stuff it comes with the job and comes with the territory. And it also kind of goes into the next thing that we were going to talk about was, recognizing what the stress might look like when you're transitioning from part-time to full-time. Is it going to be feeling isolated with no friends or community or support? And then, how can you prevent that? How can you handle it? What can you do to go meet people? Maybe that stress is going to be having that like overwhelming feeling of like, oh my gosh, I don't have someone telling me what to do. Okay, what does that look like? That's going to be now you are your boss, you're making a list and you're following that list to a T. That list is your boss and you're doing everything on that list that day of, It really is figuring out what are your stressors going to be? How do you handle stress, and what you can do to prevent it from impacting your business. How is your mental health going to take a role in it? Maybe that even looks like going to counseling and talking to somebody about it and having another safe spot to really be able to share how you're feeling, what you're going through. Maybe like Emma was saying, joining a Facebook group. If you're in our Facebook group, like being very like open and honest, you can post anonymously, just like sharing how you're doing or what is happening in your business or just, feeling like you can connect with other creatives. But I do think that a big piece that a lot of people don't recognize is the mental health portion of their transition and really making sure that you are taking care of yourself and that you're surrounding yourself in a healthy environment so that you can succeed.
Yes, I completely agree. And really surrounding yourself with an environment that uplifts you and supports you. Because again, we have been there becoming an entrepreneur, running your own business. Like we have such a good friend group and family around us, but I've had people in the past who it can become a jealousy thing. They're kind of jealous that you're an entrepreneur, that you're running your own business, that you get to create your own schedule, right? They may not be the most uplifting group of people or person. And so like really surrounding yourself with people who are going to uplift you, who are going to encourage you, who are going to support you, that's going to help a lot with your stress. I even know for me, I recognize that I get stressed out really easily. And so I write everything down. I write out my week. I write down, okay, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z done today. And I'm going to write down, this is what I'm going to get in my personal life done today. And this is where I'm going to go. This is going to be my like little schedule. And it's really great for me because I have everything written out so that I don't have to mentally keep this big log. And I know for a lot of us that feels so overwhelming. So finding what works for you to minimize your stress levels because it can be very stressful. The last thing that we want to talk about is the financial side. Now that you're transitioning from part-time to full-time, maybe you are leaving that other job that you were currently working. You're also leaving a steady paycheck. And again, so many of these elements we're talking about, they probably seem really scary. You're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like horrifying. But we're just trying to save you from stressing out, being scared, making poor financial decisions. And we just want to show you because there's so many fulfilling things about being full-time that obviously Hannah and I wouldn't do it if we didn't love it to pieces. But the financial side is a big element. And a lot of us might be coming into this thinking, well, I'm not really like a financial guru. It's okay. But we do have to be thinking about, okay, how can I budget myself now that I'm not making this stable income? To how can I budget where maybe it comes with, and I do have to preface, Hannah and I are not financial advisors and cannot give you financial advice legally, but maybe it just comes down to thinking when you're thinking about budgeting, okay, I'm going to collect my client payments at certain times. So that way I always make sure that every single month I have X amount coming into my bank account. Or I'm going to budget myself where and now maybe I can't initially spend as much as I originally was spending when I had a steady paycheck and I need to save some. How much should I save to taxes? This is what comes in handy, finding a really good accountant, finding an accountant that you can ask questions to, who you can work with. That way, at the end of the year, it's not coming this, oh my gosh, this is horrifying. I have to pay all this money because you've worked on it year round. And I know this is definitely something that comes a little bit more long term. You're not thinking about this day one into going full time. You honestly should be thinking about this before you go full time. But if you haven't, if you're full time, think about this right now. Think about what does a budget look like for you. For me, I have an entire spreadsheet where I can kind of log monthly what payments are coming in, what expenses are going out, and I can take kind of like this overview of how I'm spending, how I'm managing my finances in my business and in my personal side, but then also recognizing and thinking, okay, what are my goals? How much do I want to save a year? How much do I want to spend? Where can I save money? And also meeting with my accountant. And I do that pretty frequently just to be able to ask questions and plan ahead of time. And so the financial side is a really big element to transitioning to full-time that it's definitely really important that you take time to spend into.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like when I first started, I was like, I mentioned earlier, I was like, my 9 to 5 was so mentally exhausting where I was like, I need to just like put everything I can into my photography business and like really try to make this grow. And when I thought about it financially, it was like, I just need to survive. I just need to make enough to survive till the next month. And then that month, make enough to survive to the next month. And I think a lot of people, it either is you have a significant other, husband or wife, or someone who is also working. So you might have that like financial bubble where you are a little bit safe, like a little safety net per se, which is really nice. But if you're on your own, or if you're like, no, I really am just like trying to survive, then write down all your expenses for the month. And then write down all of your yearly expenses, and then plan, and then see what you've got booked. See what you've got booked for the rest of August, the rest of the September, October, November, December, and then really see, okay, which months am I going to be able to cover those monthly expenses? And if I'm not able to, what can I do to market to see about making that extra income, whether that is doing mini sessions or that's posting your availability or sharing that, hey, you have this date open, that if anybody would like to, snag a spot, whatever that looks like, or maybe it's working on your website or your branding or your Instagram to get more traction and more people coming in. But whatever that looks like to really just like even make it month to month, because then from that point, you're going to start seeing it grow. But even if you're just at the very bare bones beginning and you're like, I just need to survive, then figure out what does that look like for you. And then from there, as you grow from there, how can you save? And how can you invest? How can you prepare? How can you plan from there? But really just like knowing that it is doable, and that if you are planning to go full time, I think something that a lot of people forget about is that now instead of 5 hours of the day to work on your business, now you have a whole 15 hours of your day to work on your business, where you have the time now to invest and really pour into it. And so if you're going full time, one, congratulations. That's freaking huge if you're making that transition. But then also recognizing that you have time to build your business more so than you did before. So you're going to make it work. And if you guys need anything, let us know in the Facebook group. Like we have always said, DM us on the Instagram, on our podcast Instagram. Let us know if you need anything, if you have any questions. We are really, truly here to help. And yeah, we're just excited, whatever that transition looks like for you guys. Hopefully these few tips were helpful in kind of sharing our own experience. But again, congratulations if that is you in the middle of a transition. And we will see you guys next week on the We Got You podcast.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the We Got You podcast. We would absolutely love it if you could take an extra minute to leave us a review and let us know what you think. DM us a screenshot of it and we'll send you a coffee on us. If you want access to an exclusive community, rad freebies, giveaways, and wedding referrals, then join our Facebook group today. Also, if you aren't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you're following along on Instagram at WeGotYou_podcast to stay up to date. We'll see you next week on the We Got You podcast.